What's up, trendsetter kings and queens? Stick around, let's chill and spill some trending tea.
Baby, get in here, get in here, get in here. It is day 7 on the scene at the Daystar here. Sorry, I got a call. But let me tell you, today was an explosive day. It was very explosive. So let me tell you what the fuck done happened, bitch. I'm over here. Mind you, I'm in the courtroom like that. Girl, I was gagging at every turn. Okay, so I'm gonna try to remember what the tea was. So, bitch, so the defense calls Sean Kelly. Now, Sean Kelly is the witness that happened that night because the shooting took place in his driveway. Okay? So, girl, the defense calls Sean Kelly, and he pretty much says, what did you witness that night? Well, first of all, they pull up a picture, a diagram, and they show, Sean's bedroom in conjunction with Sean's balcony, in conjunction to where the car was parked, the driveway, things like that. So they were painting the picture, and Sean basically was like, I live in Nicholas Canyon. A lot of people park near my driveway because they don't get a lot of service. I will sleep in my bed, but I'm always interrupted often because that's a good service area for people's phones. So this particular night it was a bit noisy. Okay, so he doesn't say how he's seen the people get out the car. However, he says he was woke up to a lot of screaming and shouting. Okay, and when he woke up to the screaming and shouting, he looked out of the window and he saw 2 women fighting. I mean, brawling, bitch. They didn't see, he never said Meg Kelsey. He said 2 women was out there tearing it down, bitch. Pulling hair, swinging, kicking, brawling, bitch. He said well, we know it's Meg Kelsey, but Meg Kelsey was out there beating each other's ass. Okay? Yelling, fighting, tearing it down. Now, that's one thing that Meg or Kelsey failed to tell us. Now, I'm going to tell you this, bitch. Everybody lied. Everybody lied. Meg lied. According to this witness, if we go off with this witness, say, everybody lied, okay? So the defense is like, okay, so everybody is fighting. And then what do you see? They said, well, we seen one of the women kind of get back in the car, but she was kicking. She was kicking. She never stopped kicking. And then there was a flash. They said, did you see a gun? They were like, well, no, I didn't see a gun. He was like, I didn't see a gun. I thought it was fireworks. But it was a flash. And then they said, well, where did it come from? The man said it looked like it came from the girl. AKA, in my mind, I'm assuming that's Kelsey. It looked like the gun, the shot came from Kelsey is what the guy is saying. Okay? And so they were like, well, then the defense said, well, did you see my client? Or did you see the short guy and the other guy? He said, listen, they all were fighting. He said, Quan, he didn't say Quan, but he said that there was a taller guy, a bigger guy. He walked out from the corner, walked out in front of the car. Then he aggressively got into it. So he was fighting. And then he said, well, Tory, which is the shorter guy, he addressed him as the shorter guy, got out the car and he was fighting it. The guy said that Tory Lanez was aggressive. He was yelling. They were all screaming, right? Then they said that. Then this is the defense witness. Then he said he saw. Flashes come from Tory. Flashes then he shot next. Okay, this is what the man is saying, bitch. This is the defense witness. Then they said, well, what happened after that? What did the big guy do? They said that the bodyguard aggressively broke it up. They said, what happened? What did you see? What happened with the girl? They said, he said, the girl kept kicking. Then he said, Eventually, the girl fell onto the ground. This is, I'm assuming, Meg Thee Stallion. Fell onto the ground, crawled across the street. Then the defense said, then the man said he saw 3 people, 2 guys and 1 girl beating up another girl. They were beating her ass, kicking, punching her while she was laying in the fetal position. So I don't know if that's Meg Thee Stallion in the fetal position, but apparently she was in the fetal position and they were whooping her ass. This is what the fucking man is saying. Then he said he was so scared because he thought they were going to pick her up and throw her in the river. Bitch, I cannot make this up. But instead, they drug her across the street and threw her back in the car. Bitch. Yes. 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 Yes, bitch. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And mind you, I'm over there gagging. But so they're like, well, so then the defense is like, well, did you ever see my client, shoot? Shooting? Or who did you see do who did you see the flashes come from first? And the man said, the girl. She said, so you didn't see my client with a gun? He said, no, I never saw a gun. But he was shooting too. So then the prosecution gets involved, right? So they're like, sir, when you called 911, did you ever mention that you thought a girl was shooting? And then he said, I don't remember. They said, do you want me to show you your 911 records? Pulled up the records. Never mentioned it. He said, when you talked to the district attorney's officer, did you ever show or did you ever mention that you felt like the girl was shooting first? No recollection. He said, it wasn't until you did an interview and talked to the defense, right, that you started to introduce this idea that the girl was shooting. So I guess he was alluding to the fact that, the defense had been coaching you, because they also asked, they said, did you know the defense was recording you? Had you ever when you met with the defense, when you guys were having conversations, did they coach you? He said, well, he didn't really coach me, but they told me when they were going to record, and they was like, okay, we're going to start recording from this part of the conversation. So they were kind of, the prosecution was painting this picture like, okay, bitch, they were setting you up to say that Kelsey, you saw the gunshots come from another girl, but actually that was never part of the call when the guy originally called the police or did an interview with the district attorney. The call was about 2 women fighting. That was the 911 call. And he said, well, no, the 911 call was help. There are men beating up women. That was the 911 call. There was men beating women. There was no gun. The gun hadn't went off. There were men beating women. The guy kept reiterating, they were all fighting. They were all screaming. They were all cursing. They were all fighting. Everybody was fighting. Every time someone asked what happened, they said they were all in there fighting, tussling. Okay? Everybody was fighting. Meg was kicking nonstop. Now here's the hot tea. Now when they said, and so the prosecution says, so the short guy, did he get out the car? They said yes. The man said, what was he like when he got out? They said the short guy got out, and they were trying to paint the picture like, okay, Meg had the gun. Because the defense was trying to say, Kelsey had the gun, or one of the girls had the gun. And then the shots went off, and then Tory went to go, stop her. The guy was like, that's not what happened. He was like, sir, but you said, this is the defense, because now the defense is getting frustrated. The defense is like, well, sir, you said that you saw the flashes come from a girl first. And then would it be responsible to say that, the shorter guy kind of came and tried to stop her from shooting? He was like, no, he was shooting too. And it's all happened kind of simultaneously. It was very quick. And then the whole courtroom falls out laughing because the guy goes, he wasn't like, okay, it's my turn now, give me the gun. No. They were all outside fighting. So it wasn't like Kelsey shot and then Tory jumped out and was like, stop, what do you got? No, they were all in this. And then the guy starts saying, no. He was upset. He was agitated. This is now Tory. He was describing Tory Lanez. He said Tory Lanez was upset, agitated. He described it as a torment of abuse. A torrent of abuse. That's what Tory Lanez was displaying. A torrent of abuse. Yelling motherfucker, nigger, niggas. They were all nigger, motherfucker. And then the guy said, well, did you see a gun? He said, no. He said, but did you see the shorter man shooting? He said, yes. He was shooting. They said, how many shots? He said, 4 or 5. Then the man said, well, let me play this audio for you. So the prosecution plays the audio, and you hear the gunshots. Pow, 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 pow. Then you can visibly see the witness uncomfortable. He gets so uncomfortable, he has to take a break because he was scared. His son was at the house. He said, you know, it made me feel very uncomfortable because I didn't really give a shit about them. I cared more about my kid. This is still tormenting me to even hear these gunshots. Man looked like he was finna break down. It was a whole thing. So after that, they said, well, if you didn't see a gun, how do you know, like, there was like gunshots? And he was like, well, I didn't actually see a gun, but he was holding it and he was waving, extending his arm, waving it, shooting like this. Waving and shooting a gun. Shooting, popping, shooting. I'm like, what? And it was flashes. And his hand was going like this. And all I seen was flashes. From the little guy. The little guy is a.k.a. Tory Lanez, bitch. I'm gagging. Bitch, and we all in the courtroom like that. I'm gagging. I'm over here gagging. And mind you, this is the defense's witness. This is not the prosecution witness. The defense was so over it. Tory Lanez looked so uncomfortable. Tory Lanez was in there gagging. The defense is in there gagging. They did not think that this man was going to come on here and carry on this stand like that. This man may have single-handedly fucked up these people's case. Now, if I am being fair, right, you know, it started to get a little crazy because the guy mentioned throw her in the river and the guy and the 2 girls were beating up on one girl while she was in fetal position. I don't know. You know how systemically, you know, people, you know, white people, they view us a certain kind of way. So, you know, they're a little bit dramatic. Now it's a torment of abuse and, you know, now they're all beating up on the girl in the corner and, you know what I mean? So you got to kind of pick and choose. You know, it's just cultural differences. The white people, you know, this was in Nichols Canyon, you know, and now that he's thinking that they're going to pick her up and throw her in the river because he thought, this is what he said. He said, I felt like they were trying to kill her. The girl, he thought that they were trying to, I'm assuming, they never put a name to it, but he thought they were trying to kill Megan Thee Stallion, is what he's saying. He thought they were going to kill her. But and throw her in the river, because apparently there's a river right by the house. So they were picking her up, and then he said he heard the bigger guy, which is Quan, say, the police is coming. So we got to get the fuck out of here, like, get her up. And so that's why he thought he was going to throw her in, they were going to throw her in the river. So, child, this is a mess. And he was very adamant about Tory Lanez was shooting too. Now, he's saying that he is saying, though, he thinks the first shots came from the girl. The first flashes. but he doesn't really know. But he was very adamant that 4 or 5 shots came from Tory Lanez. Now, he didn't see a gun, but he seen 4 or 5 flashes coming from the little man that was aggressive, agitated, and swearing and cursing and going off. And he was fighting too. So, child. And they asked, was there 2 guns? Said, no, it's not 2 guns. So I don't, and here's the thing, they were all fighting together. So I don't want you guys to think that there was this idea of like separation. Everybody was right there. So the flash could have came from Kelsey, or it could have came from Tory the whole time. I don't know. But for sure, he said the direction, he could only see from the top looking down. He said it looked like a flash came from the girl first, but that was never in the original report, you guys. The original police report, he said it looked like 2 girls were fighting. 2 girls were fighting. That's what he told the district attorney too. It only turned into Kelsey possibly had the gun when he got into the interview with the defense, and he was being allegedly, or kind of what is kind of given, is slightly kind of coached by the defense to say Kelsey, or kind of walked into or manipulated into kind of saying Kelsey, he saw flashes by Kelsey. I don't think that man fully know, but he was very adamant on saying, and I'm not being biased here, very adamant on saying the motherfucker said, they said was the short man's arm is extended. They said, yeah, he was, and everybody was out the car except Meg Thee Stallion. Said Meg Thee Stallion was kicking. She was kicking the whole time, but everybody else was out of the car, and it was 4 or 5 flashes coming from the shorter man when he was doing this. So, child, that's a mess. That's a mess, child. This is not looking good. This is not looking good, because I don't feel like the defense was expecting their key witness to fumble and fuck up like this. He literally admitted that Tory Lanez was the shooter. Was shooting. He said, and every time they would say, well, he said, well, because every time they would say, well, the woman had flashes, that man said, no, he was shooting too. He stopped. He said, no, he was shooting too. He would not make it seem like Tory was. He said, and he kept saying he was very agitated and very angry. It was a torrent of abuse coming from him. So, child, I will keep y'all updated. We are just at part 1 of the shits and the gags. And you can hear some of the people that's Team Tory Lanez on the media side. They just like, please stop. Please, like, you can hear them telling the defense in there under their breath, stop, just rest. Like, don't keep, because every time the defense would keep asking more questions, the man would just start spilling more tea that I don't think that they was planning on. So, it's a lot going on. We here getting into some things, baby. Power and red. Okay? I love you all, and I will see y'all in the next video. Okay? Love you.
Saw something that we should all be embarrassed about as Americans in court. And if I'm wrong, there was a lot of people in that courtroom. Kelly testified. The prosecutor got him to say, hey, look, I saw the short guy with his arms in the air and the gun going off. And it went off about 5 times. And then the defense went up there and said, hey, did you see the woman going towards back into the car? And did you see the muzzle flash go off with her? He said yes. And was there a struggle and everybody was fighting? And he said yes. Then I saw the prosecutors ask the judge, that if Tory Lanez takes the stand and testify, we want to talk about his rap lyrics. We want to talk about the tattoos of his guns. We want to talk about how he was arrested in 2019 for something and he was arrested in 2020 for something. We want to talk about he's recently been arrested for August Alsina. The prosecutors, the people of the state of California, that's who they represent. That's the name. It's the people versus Daystar Peterson. The people, they don't really want to talk about the case anymore. They don't really want to talk about what happened on that evening with these 4 people and that Escalade. No, now they want to put the man on trial. They want to talk about everything Tory Lanez has ever said and everything that Tory Lanez has ever did. Because if they can't get you the fair way, the right way, they'll get you any way they can. That's what I saw in the courtroom. Tell me I'm lying.
Fam, what do you think about this whole trial, y'all? This is crazy and messy for real. Right when you think it may go one way, it turns and goes the other way. Do y'all think Tory Lanez will take the stand? Especially if he's about to, like, you know, they about ready to bring up old lyrics and tattoos and such. That's crazy. I didn't even know you were allowed to do that in the court of law. Anyways, let me know how you feel, what you think. Share your thoughts below, babes. All right, trendsetters, I've enjoyed spilling tea with you. Remember to support one another and show love. Y'all support your girl. It's free. It's Trendsetter Tea, babes. This is a new channel, so hit that like button and subscribe and come back for some more trending hot tea. Trendsetters, I love you, fam. Bye.